Hey guys, welcome to this tutorial. My name's ThaTimster. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make detailed smoke in the Blender game engine. So a while ago I did another tutorial showing you how to make more cloudy sort of smoke, so stuff you'd use for fire and explosions and the big stuff, but I didn't cover how to do sort of the small, high detailed smoke like for cigarettes or candles or something like that. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So first of all, what we're going to have to do is go File, New, open up a new blend file. Then up here we're going to click Blender Game, change it to GLSL and a animation frame rate of 60. That should all be fine. Then we're going to scroll along the top here and change the physics to no collision and invisible, because this will be our spawner. Now we need a smoke texture, so I'm going to go ahead, open up GIMP. There is also a link in the description with the texture if you guys don't want to go and try paint it yourself, but I'm going to show you guys how I did that anyway. You don't have to have GIMP, you can use Photoshop or anything else that works with PNGs or images with alpha layers. So what we're going to do here is create a new image, and I'm just going to make this square, so 512 by 512. And then I'm going to click OK, make a new image. Then under colors, I'm going to select color to alpha and get rid of the white, so we're just left with alpha. Then here I'm going to change my color to white and make it slightly grey, like so. Then the next thing I'm going to do is turn up the size of the brush here, so something I think around 50 worked. Yep, something like that, maybe even a little bit less. So something like this, and basically what we want to do for the smoke to work properly, we need it to be seamless. So the top needs to be the same as the bottom. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to draw a swirly line which then comes down and starts and finishes at the same spot. So I'm going to start off the top here by just dragging down, making a loop, and dragging back into the finish here. And I'm going to go over that one more time like that. Then I'm going to make it a bit thicker around here, slightly, something like that, and then I'm going to turn my brush size down to something around 20, 25, 30. Then I'm going to do one that sort of goes like that, just through the middle as the smoke normally would, and then I'm going to do another one following the shape of the smoke, so something like that. If you want to, you can add in a couple more here and maybe one here. Then once we've done that, we can click File, Export, and we can export it as smoke detailed, or just detail, and export that out. That will export out. Then we'll go back into our blend file, H to hide the cube or the spawner, and then Shift A, and we're going to add a plane. Now this plane is going to be no collision, so make sure that's set on it. Then a new material, in the materials tab, no specular, will turn off back facing, and the transparency will be at 0. Then under the texture tab here, we're going to click new, image or movie, UV, and we're going to select the alpha channel down here. Then we're going to click open, and we'll open up our texture. So that was smoke detail. There we go. Now you won't see it in the viewport, so we need to first of all change it to textured, then press S to scale it a bit, and tab U unwrap to unwrap it. And there we go, that looks okay. Now I'm going to press SY to scale it along the Y axis a little bit more, and I'm also going to make a new window here, then select UV image editor and smoke detail. No, we have to press tab to go into edit mode, then select smoke detail, and I'm going to move it across just to bring it into the center a bit more. So we have something like that, and that looks like a nice wisp of smoke. And to make sure that it's working seamlessly, we can press Shift D to duplicate, and then GY, making sure you're in object mode, not edit mode. So go out of edit mode and then make a duplicate and move it across. And as you'll see now, the ends aren't quite matching up. So right here they need to be moved to the side a bit more, and this one needs to be moved to the side a bit more as well. So what we're going to do is go back into GIMP, and we're going to do that on the texture. So first of all we needed the bottom to line up a bit more, so I'm going to rub it out. I'm going to select my airbrush tool, and it's still on 20 or 25, and I'm going to move it in like so, and move this one across a bit more. Then I'm going to click export to smoke detail. Then we can go back into our blend file, and under the settings here we can click refresh, and it will apply all the changes we made, and now that's looking a little bit more seamless, which is good, but we still have a wisp here, so I'm going to try and get rid of that like so, and try and make this a bit smoother. So you might need to also go on the top here and smooth that out. Then we're going to click export to smoke detail again and refresh, and that looks pretty seamless to me. So another thing we also want to do is make it maybe not so quite visible, especially at the top here. So you want to rub out a chunk like this, and then we're going to select airbrush tool, but this time we want the opacity here, we want to turn that down to maybe something around 50, or even just 60 might work. Then we're going to turn up the size of it, and we're just going to go over this again, and we just want it slightly visible, so not as visible as the rest. Then to improve this effect even more, I'm going to select the smudge tool and make it a bit smaller, something around 20, and I'm going to sort of smudge these together, get them to work a bit better. Okay, cool. So once you're happy with that, we can click File, Export to Smoke Detail, refresh it one last time, and that should be working. So as you can see, it isn't exactly seamless, but it works for the purposes we're using it for. So now we've got our first one here, we've got our second one. We want to have 3 variations of our smoke, so we're going to press Shift D, G, Y one more time, and we're going to make a third one. Then I'm going to select all of these by holding down Shift and right clicking. Then I'm going to press RZ90 and press enter, and that will rotate them all 90 degrees. And we want all of these facing upwards, so RY90 for all of them, and this one as well, RY90. And so we have our first one here, which sort of looks okay, but we want a bit more variation on these other two. So what we're going to do is, with this first one here, we're going to press tab to go into edit mode, or you can just click edit mode down here. Then I'm going to press W and subdivide, so that will chop it up. And then I'm going to select this middle vertex here, and I'm going to drag it across, so GX, or you can just press G. And we want to get something that looks different, maybe something like that for this one. And for the other one here, I'm going to first of all press tab to go into edit mode, and then I'm going to press RZ180 to flip it, and then I'm also going to do the same, subdivide it, and then select this middle vertex, and I'm going to move it up a bit so the wisp is further down. I'm going to also move it across a bit. If you want to, you can click in the object properties here and call them all smoke, and then this one smoke 1, and the last one smoke 2. Actually, you should probably do this for later purposes. Then once we've got all of those going, we need to do one more thing. Go on the materials tab and select object color. So that means we can animate the alpha and make it fade in and fade out. Then we're going to do one more thing, and that is go to frame 0 here. Then under the object properties, where we just gave it a name, we're going to select here, turn the alpha to nothing, then right click insert keyframe. Down here go to frame 10 and click in the object color, set the alpha to full, then right click insert keyframe again, and then we're going to go all the way to frame 60. You can go even to 120 if you want your smoke lasting that long, but I'm just going to be choosing 60, and then I'm going to right click in here, alpha back to 0, and insert keyframe. So what that all does is it starts at being invisible, then it becomes visible, and then it fades out again, but a lot slower than it did fading in. So that's cool, that's the first one done. Now we just need to do it for these other ones. So I'm going to first of all click in here, no alpha, right click, insert keyframe, go to frame 10, turn the alpha to full, right click insert keyframe, and then all the way to frame 60, and we want no alpha again. And we'll do that for the last one as well. Frame 0, no alpha, frame 10, full alpha, so it's fully visible, and then frame 60 here, we want it to be invisible again. Okay, so that's all of those done. I'm going to join up this window, give me some more working space. Then I'm going to drag down here so we can see the objects, and I'm going to hold down shift and select all of them, and then press M and move to layer 2. So just M2, and that will move them across to this layer here. Then I'm going to press Alt H to unhide the objects, and that will unhide the spawner here. Then up the top here, I'm going to click Game Logic. That will change our whole window layout. It'll look cool, but we need to change this back to textured for it to work nicely. Then under the cube here, which I guess you could call spawner, I'm going to add a game property, and this is going to be an integer, so a number, and it's going to be, I don't know, counter, whatever you want to call it, and it's going to start at 0. Then on this side here, I'm going to add a, well, first of all, I'm going to add an always sensor, and I'm going to add some property sensors. So we need exactly 4. Now this first one here is going to be when counter is equal to 3, second one when it's equal to 2, third one when it's equal to 1, and the last one when it's equal to 0. And then we'll minimize all those. The always sensor here will be on a true pulse, and I think something around 28 worked well. Then on this side we're going to add motion first of all, and a property. So we'll join those two up to the always sensor, and then down here with the motion, basically what we want it to do is we just want it to rotate. So not crazy values, maybe just something like 20. So if we press P and we turn the invisible off, it's just spinning like that, so it gives a little bit of variation. So we can click invisible again, then minimize the motion, and it's going to add to counter -1. Then we're going to add one more property, and this is going to be if counter is equal to 0, so it's reached 0 after it kept adding -1, and it's going to assign the counter back to 3. And we want that to happen when the property is equal to 0. So we'll join those two up. And then next what we want to do is when the counter reaches a number below it, we want it to spawn in a certain object. So an edit object for all of them. You can just click in here and press E to add an edit object, and I think it's Y to add a property as well. So the first one here, we're just going to drag across and join them together. Same for the second one, and same for the third one. Then in the top here, we're going to select smoke, just the original one, then the second one, smoke 1, if we have smoke 1. I'm guessing that's plain 2, and then smoke number 2. Before we minimize them though, we need to do one more thing, and that is to set the time to 60. So do that on all of them. That's just how long the object lives for after it's spawned in. And then minimize all those. Okay, so next thing we need to do is go to layer 2 here and select each one. I think this one I didn't name, so we'll just quickly call it smoke 1. Then we need to add an always sensor and a motion as well as an action. So the action basically is just the fading out, and the motion we want it to always be rising upwards. So I found something around 0.07 worked well, although you might even want it to be slower, so 0.06 might work for you. Then in the action here, I'm going to select plain number 2 action. That's what it was called before I animated it, and then it's going to start at frame 0 and end at frame 60. So we just need to do that for all of them. Make sure you leave this always sensor without a true pulse, just leave it as default. Okay, so we'll minimize all those. So if we go to layer 1 here, making sure you're in text view, and you press P, then now it should be showing up with our smoke, but it's sideways and it looks strange. So if we go to layer 2 here, we want to, under the motion, one more thing before we get it to go, is turn off local, because that means if we go into local here, it will be moving along the z-axis, which is this way, which isn't upwards. So we need to do that for all of them. Just turn off local, like so. Select our first one here, press tab, and then press RY90. Press tab, and then RY90, and do that for all of them. And then go back to layer 1, press P. As you can see, the rotation is, I don't know, seems to be fairly repetitive. So I'm going to, with the spawner selected, I'm going to click here, and I'm going to turn it up. So maybe something around 30, just 37, and something like that might work a bit better. Now you notice it's flashing while it's spawning in, and that is because it's not at frame 0. So we're going to bring up a new menu here just by dragging up. Then I'm going to select timeline, make it a bit bigger, and make sure that's set to frame 0. So we're going to go to layer 2, and we'll press Z to go into wireframe so we can see where the planes are. Then we're going to select all our smoke by holding down shift and clicking all of it, and then pressing S to scale, and just to make it a whole lot smaller. Then we're going to go back to layer 1, press Alt Z to go into text view. Another thing I'm going to do to make it look a bit better is select the lamp here and choose Hemi. I'll just give it a better sort of rounded off view so we can always see what it looks like. Also, if you think the smoke is a little bit too visible, you can always go into layer 2 here, select the smoke, and under the texture for it, make sure you select material and then texture, and you can turn down the alpha here. So now if we press P, or in this layer press P, then the smoke isn't sort of as visible. I'm going to drag down this cube here, press Shift 8, add another plane. This can be like a table or a floor or something. How about we just give it a random color, so maybe brown, something like that. Turn off specular, and now if we press P, you can see smoke sort of rising through the table. So we'll move the spawner up a bit, press S to scale it, and just move it up, something like that. Go into camera view, press P, and there we go, we can see the smoke spawning, but there is a gap between each plane, so we need to turn the frequency down a bit more, and there we go, it's starting to join in. Maybe something around 18 will work. Basically, one thing I can already see is, if we go, just move along here, is one of these isn't matching up, and I have a feeling it's this one here. As you can see, the top of it's sort of not really matching up with the rest of them, sort of that wave. So what I'm going to have to do is click here, change it to UV image editor. So I'm going to select everything by pressing A, and then GX, and I'm going to move it across, and just join it up, sort of like that, so it's a bit more in one line, like so. I'm going to go back to layer 1 by pressing 1, and then I'm going to press 0 and press P, and there we go, the smoke should be looking a little bit better now. Also, if you'd rather not want your smoke sort of spinning around in a circle, so half the time it's just the side of the plane, what you can also do is turn off the motion, so you don't exactly need that. So now if you press P, it will just be rising up in one direction the whole time. Again, if you do want it sort of not staying in the same position the whole time, but you want the same view the whole time, we can add an edit object actuator and a track 2, and then we can select our camera here, and yeah, get it so it's always facing the camera, so if you move around where the smoke's coming from, the smoke will always be facing you. But again, that's up to you, so whatever you guys think will work best for your games. So I'm just going to turn down the frequency a little bit more. But yeah, there you go guys, that's basically how to make high detailed smoke in the Blender game engine. So you can add this to trails, smoke trails from throwing a grenade, or yeah, cigarettes again, That's, I guess, where it's mainly used. But anyway, that's the end of the tutorial, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found something useful. There'll be a download link for the demo you saw at the start, and also a download link for the texture if you guys want that. So if you enjoyed this video, found it helpful, anything like that, feel free to share, leave a thumbs up or comment. It's all greatly appreciated. But thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.